Hey, welcome to Okitsu, Japan. We're just out of the train station here, and I'm going to walk from here to Shimizu. Why don't you come on? Let's go see what we can find. First impression is it's a pretty sleepy town. I've been here before, but maybe first impressions for some of you. Look at all these little shops here. Very much like the just old style, Ginza style, without the overhang, right? Now we can go down there along the road there towards the coast, or we can come up here and go on the other side of the tracks for some meandering. Oh, look at that. Let's just take a little walk down that little alley there just for fun. This is precisely the wrong direction, not the direction I intended to go. Swing over this way. Maybe we can find a convenience store to get a couple of things to put in a backpack to eat as we get closer to lunchtime. Lucky right off the bat. Here's a Family Mart. That's good. Let's get some goodies there. And that's the first time I've seen a robot in a convenience store. Okay, I got an egg sandwich, 2 onigiri, a tuna mayo, and a pickled plum, and a melon pan, and a nikuman, which I'm going to eat right now. The ocean is right back there, but as interesting as that is, I'm going to choose the other side of the tracks because the other side of the tracks. Okay, this is just the kind of thing. You got this little road here, but then look at that alley there. Let's go see that. Make sure I look both ways before I cross, though. Okay, in addition to the postman traffic, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to choose. Let's continue this way. Now we're back on track. Isn't that simply adorable? I love this little yard. It's really nice. Dead end? Ooh, bonsai. Kind of got myself in the thick of it there. Let's go back out here to this larger road. Still not on the other side of the tracks. Okay, there's the train station back there, and here's a place we can get across the tracks. Should get a little meandering back there. This is the JR main line, JR East, I think. So if you ever take the train, like the local train from Tokyo down to Kyoto, only one stop at a time, you'll come right through here. Just don't get run over. Okay, now I'm on the other side of the tracks. See, it's getting a little meandering. And they're kind of, ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. Let's just turn the camera and walk for a bit. Looks like we found the trail up behind the cemetery. It's unnecessary for these walks to go anywhere in particular other than where interest leads. And interest seems to indicate this is a good place to go. Would you believe there was a time in my life when I would have let wet feet dissuade me from continuing on a trail like this? It rained through the night, the early morning, and I don't like wet feet, and I'm not wearing shoes to keep dry. They're not the right shoes for it. They're vented and holy. Not like that Shimizu statue. Different type of holes. But at age 62, there's no second chances anymore. I could have told myself I'm 30, 32, yeah, I'll come back here again someday, see what's a little further. But instead of letting diverted interest guide me, I let my sense of better self. How do I actually feel? Am I up to it? Does curiosity draw me here? Do I really need to walk all the way to Shimizu? You know, that little thing in the back of the head that says, oh, but you should walk. You're going to Shimizu, you should walk. Eh, the hell with it. I'll walk, but I'll walk where interest suggests is best. Ooh, there's something interesting. How did that piece of porcelain get here? How old is it? Who put it here? Why did they put it here? How did it get broken? This way it looks blocked off. The trail does go that way. This way. I think I will turn back. I think someone's living there. Let's give them their privacy. We have other places to go. This is kind of your standard Japanese graveyard, but the Japanese are starting to give these up. They're complicated affairs. They're crypts or tombs, or they encapsulate many people within one grave, cremated, and then the ashes are interred with the names inscribed. But these are very expensive affairs, costly to keep up year after year. So Japanese people are starting to go more like a Western style with a small family memorial, not inviting everybody, and then choosing small little, very inexpensive little kind of graves like we have in the West. These are starting to disappear. Well, it would be long before take a long time before they're gone, and they're always associated with the temple. That's the other thing. The temple, locking the temple association helps with the cost. You can see all the tools they're used to keep the graves clean and tidy. Times are changing. suspect that both of these houses directly near the tracks still have people living in them. The evidence is that house back there still has a gas meter, and I could see it turning. It was on, or it was turned on. And this one actually has a propane bottle here. So some oldster, and there's kerosene, that red bottle there's kerosene for the winter stove, and scooter that's still covered. Usually these will have like one or two usually just one very old person, barely just eking by, quietly, silently, and in this case, on the other side of the tracks. Just walking distance. Can't even drive it. It's getting to be pretty narrow up here. Careful footing. Ooh, and heading. And here's more ceramics. There's one right there. This is on this little trail beside the place. And there's more over here. Oh, look at that. It's very subtle there. Look at that. This is from another piece, probably from an old bowl. And then over here, look at that blue color. So much history. I'm often touched by the sight of like lone chairs like that, and thinking of someone who maybe lived in this house, coming out and taking a sit there in a nice day like today, like spring. It's a nice day actually. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look up there. You can see the tattered shoji screen or doors, paper doors. One of the interesting things about this town of Okitsu is that there used to be at least unsanctioned walkways across the railroad tracks where you could just walk across here and there. Like this house here, there's somebody living there. Did you see the pants and the thing hanging in the window there? Someone's living there, but the best way to get across to town wouldn't be to walk all the way back like we came, but it would be to go through your own little gate, hole in the gate right here to boardwalk, and then cross over the tracks. But you can see they've boarded that off. Oh, look, a trail. this was certainly somebody's house. The mailbox is right there. Oh, look at that light above the door. That's nice. Trail continues up past all these reinforcing landslide protection things. Oh, an orange tree. That's a little Jizo statue there. Patron saint of a lot of things. Can you hear the frogs? Croak, croak, croak. Let's go see if we can get a closer look at those houses that we missed. I've said it before, one of the things that I was enjoying about the idea of retirement, particularly in Japan, where I used to have to get my feet wet walking to work on a Monday morning, is not getting my feet wet anymore, walking to work on a Monday morning because I don't have to walk to work anymore. So be it. It's a Monday. It's a morning. My feet are wet, but I don't mind. It's a different type of work. Here, let's take a second look at these places. Sometimes there's just no words for the types of places. I'll bet all of these empty homes back here are full of the possessions of the owners on the inside. Enough said. Look at that shrine gate. Wow. Maybe we can continue along here on this side. This seems awfully precarious. I get the feeling this is as far as I can safely go. Probably if you're a local, you could go further, but I won't press it. I'll go to the other side and continue along. Cross right there. Japan is chock full of old people who do that. I see them every time I'm out, and I think I'm slowly becoming one of them. What is that? We just go out and walk around slowly and look down at nothing or look out at nothing. I don't think I don't necessarily know it's a bad thing. Actually, I kind of enjoy it now that I'm doing it. There's another old house. Wow. In fact, older people like this can be really pleasant people to talk to. Usually, they don't have too many other people to talk to, especially during the day like this on a Monday morning. So I'll strike up a conversation with him. これはビデオいいですか? So he's invited me in to see his koi. Oh, koi no. これいいですか? 入っていい? He's inviting us in. Let's go take a look. Oh, すごい. Whoa! Look at that. Where's his seat? He's just hanging out there. He invited me right in. He saw me coming. He says, come on in and have a seat of koi. I need to get some medaka. He's got his boots. あれはメダカね。これは저렇게 잘. 와, すごい. 沖の方は何歳と思う? 沖の鯉は60年くらい. He told me that the big fish are 60 years old. 60歳. 俺は62歳. 同じ. So 昭和39年ですね。どこの生まれ？アメリカ。アメリカね。アメリカ、はい。生まれはここに沖津？ここ沖津。この家？そうそう。赤ちゃんから時から？あ、そう、ありがとう。ありがとうございます。またね、すみません。ありがとう。Wow, what an encounter. So, the koi man of Okitsu. It really is worthwhile to stop and talk, although he didn't have much to say. And it just goes to show you sometimes what you can find on the other side of the tracks, right? It's a good thing we didn't go down that side. We would have missed the koi man. That was the noon chime. I just happened to be eating my egg sandwich while that went off, watching the trains as they go back and forth. There was another man in this yard here. He's still there. Behind that fence. There's always someone somewhere. Let's go back and go down this little alley right here. It looked kind of interesting. Okay, it's noon, so lunchtime, so people should be coming out to get their lunch, go here and there, and after a while the kids will come out. I saw a little tiny pathway that went down there, but I think I heard footsteps there. I don't like to intrude on people's privacy, but let's go try it. Just ran into that guy, and we had a nice little talk. I was telling him how his road is so narrow, and I told him that it was a good place to see trains, and he agreed. I'm 100% sure he's the same guy that I saw lingering in his own backyard back there. Pleasant fella. Okay, here's the open area. Here's where I had lunch earlier. Here's some abandoned, or no longer used bikes. It's like this little road continues along. And there's that there too. It's so hard. It's so many range of interests. Which one to choose? How about both of them? See all the little stickers above the door? Sometimes they're police stickers, NHK, Red Cross. It means various things like it's up to date on NHK or whatever, but these are artifacts from the past. This is an old house, and certainly nobody lives here anymore. I love these old wooden slats, tires. Probably some young man, or there goes a train. Those tires probably belonged to some young son that was, kind of coming up in the world, and got a cool car and placed the tires out and had nowhere to put them but here, and he's probably dead now too. And there they are, the balcony up there. And do you see the aquarium too? Again, more interest. These places reek of past, in the best sense of the word. They reek of past human interest, which is what makes their existence and their decay so bittersweet, because it reminds us that it's also tenuous. Even our own, I think here I am at 62, and I'm free. I'm retired. I can do what I want, but, I'm chained to mortality, same way. I can feel in an old chair or something. Just everywhere. There's a real glimpse of the harbor over there. It's a pretty big harbor. And we're on the edge of Shimizu now. Shimizu kind of spins off that way. More of here. Let's go up here. I like hugging the tracks here. This is neat. I said, we didn't have to pick one way or the other. We could take both ways. This is the backside. Same house we just saw. Just something about this ruin. I know some people look at this stuff and they see ruin and they leave comments and say, oh, why would anybody want to live in a place like this? Why would anybody even want to visit a place like this? It's like looking at the ruins of Troy. Hey, Evelyn, I'm thinking about you. Who was just there. Evelyn, my friend Evelyn was just there. And saying, well, these are just empty ruins and rocks. No, they're artifacts. They're artifacts of the past, of humans that once lived here, that did their thing. Live their lives. It just speaks to it. That's the place that we were getting so nostalgic about just a moment ago right there. Let's look at it quietly from the backside. I'll keep quiet, I promise I will. I kept mostly quiet, but that's the container of memories. The guy with the tires, the guy with the aquarium, or gal with the aquarium. That might have been their room right there. Those doors panels might have slid open. They might have sat there, dreaming of that car that they bought, or maybe having their fish right there. And the light would come in and the sound of the trains passing by. A very show-off feel. Right there. I could easily spend the rest of my days just doing these subtle walks. I'm glad I came back to Japan. Can you see the cherry blossom patterns on the glass? Isn't that nice? That looks like a pretty abandoned place, huh? Wow. This is the entrance. This is the front entrance, all overgrown with these grass. Everything all sealed up. I know. People are going to say, it's a mess. It's a dump. I would challenge, I'm not going to challenge you. I'm just going to tell you, I choose not to look at it that way. Yeah, maybe it is a dump. And I'm probably glad I don't own it. But in terms of just examining the world, it sure is interesting, isn't it? And if it's not interesting to you, why is it not interesting? Maybe leave me a comment and tell me. Is sentiment not interesting? Are the lives of the people who came before us not interesting? Are the hardships that they endured, or the happiness that they had, the dreams like the car and the aquarium? Or there's some old apartments. Or the people that took up residence in this apartment, or that one back there, back in a time, and maybe had plans for the future. Isn't that story? Aren't you curious about it? I certainly am. I can't walk through this without thinking about it. How could that not be interesting? Tell me in comments. I'm curious to know. Okay, stepping back out on the main road here. I think this is Route 1. It's like coming up for air, free diving in the ocean, with snorkel and fins. Go down, scoop along under the kelp bed, swooping around, looking, and then come back up to the surface. Okay, where am I? What's the next dive going to be? Seikenji Temple. We're there. That's a really famous temple. That must be the one we saw just a minute ago. That's where I went there in like 1983 or something like that. When first time I came to Japan, I was staying in a Buddhist temple here, a Zen Buddhist temple, and I knew the daughter because I had taught her English in America the summer prior, and so I stayed. No, she was a friend of the student. That's the temple right there. It's a very famous temple. Anyway, I stayed there, and she was really into heavy metal music, and she took me here, and I met the head priest-to-be, the guy that would become the head priest, and he's probably the head priest now. And he took me way up on the hillside to a tea farm, to a tea house, and he showed me Tokugawa Ieyasu, the great shogun. He showed me his childhood armor and everything, and we sat and had tea way up there on the hillside. I'm sure that guy's probably the head of the whole place now. I wonder if he would remember me. Famous temple. And here we go. Let's go across. Should I go across the street or along? Let's go all across the street. Okay, I went ahead and crossed the street. I think I've had enough ruin for the day. Let's go. I mean, it is good stuff. It's like having cheesecake, right? I mean, it's good, but only so much. Let's go over here. Let's cross over here over the highway, and then we'll go look at the harbor, and then continue walking towards the Shimizu train station. There's a beautiful view of Seikenji Temple. I know. You're saying, well, why don't you go look at the temple? Show us. It's a famous temple. Why don't you show us the temple? Someone else can do that. Sorry. truckers will park here, and in this case, this guy's taking a nap and have his lunch. Yep, we're entering the harbor shipping area. That close. Seikenji Temple is right over there, and now we're in the midst of harbor stuff. And that guy there's squatting. It's always interesting to me how Japanese people can do that. They can squat on their haunches. Okay, now here we are under the Tomei Expressway. There's the harbor area, and there's places in there you can kind of wander around, big, packing, unloading freight stuff. But then there's also places, little tiny little fishing harbors where you can just sit on the dock and dangle your feet. But all it takes is one wrong turn, and you end up going down one of these long streets to nowhere, and you don't get to see anything. But I think if I go up here to the right, I can dangle my feet. Yep, there's a dangly place. Let's go look. Dangly. I've discovered that freedom has a cost, and it's the cost of giving up the sense of fulfillment that comes of the workaday, and of being a parent and being an adult. Well, you still get that, but to a lesser degree. The world expects less of you. It's taken me 14 months to kind of get to the point that I'm starting to be okay with that. Just dangle my feet. Hey, that's the customs office right behind me here for the harbor. Got anything to declare? I declare I need to be on the other side of this fence. That's the fishing harbor over there. This is all blocked off. That's all commercial stuff. Let's go around past the customs house. The customs house, again, is that large white building that's going to be right in the center of the screen here. I declare I went the wrong way. Now I'm going the right way. I think I can slip through these trucks here. Okay, looks like you can go all the way to the end there, but that doesn't go anywhere. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have gone. I'm gonna go today. Why not? Well, I went as far as interest led, and then I got blocked off by the cordon, so I won't go any further than that. So that way. Oh, but from here we can have a pretty good view of the salvage yard over there. Look at that, and the ship that they put all the metal on. But their operations are ceased because it's lunchtime. This is kind of neat. It's like a sculpture of old chains. Okay, the rest of that part over there was cordoned off as well, so I won't go there. I try at all times to avoid ever trespassing, even in spirit if I can. It's tricky sometimes, but it's easier as I get older. It used to be hard. It used to be hard. It's like, I really want to go. But now I know it really doesn't make that big a difference. There's plenty of interest within reach without trespassing. And maybe that's just because interest is what we make of it, right? We can formulate interest out of thin air. Conjure it up by curiosity. That sounds so corny and canned, but it's true. Ooh, interest. Ooh. Look down here. This feels like a place I don't belong. No, I won't stay. Even though it's chock full of aforementioned interest. Carry on. Park here, and I found this cherry tree with a few spring blossoms. It's almost that season. And a deserted park, but not so forlorn as it might sound. It's after all midday. Although, where are all the little kids who don't go to school? It's after lunchtime. It's a good time for them. There's one. Mother nerd kid up there. Good. Melon pond for the win. All right, well, I've stopped at the park for the melon pond for a little carbs to get me going. I think the river's over here. I'm gonna start to make my way back. Getting a little tired, but those carbs do their thing. This is an interesting place. Looks like it might have been a bike shop or something at one time. Is this the river? I've reached a dead end. Speaking of dead ends, I was talking to, I wonder if I can get through here. I was talking to someone today, a Japanese man, and very successful person. I don't think I can get through there. And he was asking me almost with a disbelief why I would choose to come to live in Japan. He's thinking about his next step in his life. He's very successful. He's a physician, and having doubts about doing that. That's all I'll say. Thinking about, not doubts, but next steps. And he wanted to know why, when we were comparing notes, and he wanted to know why I would choose to give up Los Angeles. Because he thinks of it in the way so many of us do. We think about someplace else as being better than where we are. The age-old challenge, right? I told him that we came here because our daughter finished university in the States and wanted to come to live in Japan, so we followed her, which is partially true. Time to think about it. I guess I didn't give him an honest answer, because the honest answer is that we came here for the same reason that he's thinking about another life. Restless curiosity and anxiety about the good use of time. I'm confident that I'm going to see him again. I'll tell him the truth next time. It's not that I lied, I just didn't know. Maybe I was afraid to think about it clearly myself. Here's the river. He even said the same thing that I was thinking about him. He was like, why would you do that? You were successful. You were successful in California. You were enjoying the life. And he even said, because I told him what I did, and I said, and I wanted to say back to him, but you too, you're a doctor. Well, what? How is it? Well, I know how it is. I know, because career goes so far. Let's go down here. This is the same river, or at least my river, the Yoshida River that goes past my house, feeds right into this. Is the Tomoe River. I think. No, it doesn't. I guess I don't know what this river is. So it wasn't enough for that guy to be a doctor. Because that's what it boils down to. Okay, he didn't say it that way. But that's what it boils down to. Because you get to be my age or whatever and start to wonder, did I miss the boat? Did I do it wrong? Could I have done it better? What's the word that he used? Second act, I think. It's just a question about our first act, I think. Now that I think about it, that's what those old men are doing when they come out and they stand and they stare. Maybe they're beyond any act. They're wondering about the act that they did perform. Let's go look in the mud flat. Maybe there's interesting things in the mud. It's an old river from an old community. There's some bone. Hello, oi. Terracotta. Tide coming up, maybe? Terracotta. Something interesting by the ladder, a wrench. And a pair of pliers. Let's climb up this. That feels like someplace I don't belong. I don't like to trespass. I don't like to be where I don't belong. Not anymore, at least. Not that I ever did. It used to be that I felt like I wasn't making good use of my time under a bridge on a Monday afternoon. It doesn't feel so much like that anymore. Now it feels like it's one of the better uses of time. But I had to get here. It was like arriving to a destination. The journey was important to make the destination worthwhile. There's a bench upside down. Another bench. Tomo, I think. Okay, we've reached. We were down there. We've reached a bridge here. It's kind of a neat bridge. These old trees like that, those usually speak to something. Usually like a windbreak or something like that, or the markers of an old highway. Let's cross over the bridge. I decided to go back across. I want to get close to the railroad tracks over there, but I didn't want to get too close to that open portal over there where they're doing work. They might think I'm doing something suspicious. Am I? Okay, I'm by the tracks. I think I'm not going to go through the gate. I think I can go sit right under there, and the train will go right over the top of my head. I don't think that's bad. the cops are gonna come get me. It's very cool down here. I mean, as in chill. I mean, as in, you know, air isn't so warm. That was exciting. I think I can get up and go over there. Now, I just saw a policeman go by over there, and he stopped his scooter when he saw me coming up from right there. So I wonder if he's going to come over to see if I'm up with some fishy business. So I'll sit here and take pictures of the trains as I'm doing it. Okay, the police officer seems to be satisfied that I'm not too fishy, but this is just a perfect spot to sit. And I'm going to sit, I've got my book and my onigiri and my bottle of water, and I'll just sit and enjoy this spot for a little bit. Which is what, isn't it, how different is that from the old guy standing in the backyard, the koi man, staring out at the trains with the empty tracks? It's just another species of the same activity. Oh, look at the cherry blossoms. And I was cognizant of a man over there in the corner watching, and I thought, oh, it looked like he had a helmet on. Oh, I thought maybe it's the police officer. Maybe he scooted around to keep an eye on me. And then I realized it was just an old man smoking a cigarette, and my heart let down. I mean, relaxed. And I thought to myself, oh, isn't that interesting? The old men are kind of not a threat. Younger men, especially in their prime, especially an authority figure. I'm not doing anything wrong except maybe shuffling under that bridge there. So do older men lose their potency in many ways than one? We could still ring the cops up, say, hey, there's a suspicious foreigner. He's watching me right now. Suspicious foreigner with his shoes off on the bridge, or by the bridge. But a younger man, like in a uniform or something like that, or a suit. He could be like a factory owner or something like that. But old men, they're disarmed by the fact that they're old and the fact that they're disconnected. And maybe that's part of what's happening to me too. You know, I'm feeling myself losing my, as I said, potency in more ways than one. That place was selling not only oranges, but also ceramics and toys. Cheap too. This looks like an interesting little tunnel going down under the tracks. This kind of appears to be an old railroad line. I bet this is. These are tracks because the railroad is right over there, and it's converging in a railroad-like way on the main tracks. Doesn't that look like a railroad? Okay, I'm at a little crossroads here. I'm going to stick on that railroad-like little road has converged right up to the railroad here. And that must have been, you know what I bet it used to service? There's factories back there. It must have used to be a service line for those factories, which they don't use the railroad anymore. So they just covered it up, kind of left a little in. And here's more. Look, tell me that's not the railroad tracks there. That's a perfect gauge, I think. You know, perfect. Okay, I've picked up again where that railroad line leads off. See, it kind of curves up. It goes over the river and then curves up across here. Look at this. This is an abandoned apartment building. Yeah, buddy, on second thought, I don't know that it's abandoned. Maybe these two down lower units are still being used. That looks to be empty. So does that one. Gas cylinders, but that window is all boarded. Oh no, those are just the shutters. They're closed. Closed shutters are a sign. These units on the end here have a little more space. They jut out a little bit. I wonder if they were rented at a premium. Man, I bet you could, if they're still available, I bet you could rent a place like that for Neiman Inn. You know, whatever that'd be, $100 a month, something like that, US. Oh, there's a garden. And flowers. This place here is interesting. That's a house showroom. Showcase. So they have all these houses. Here, to show you. And you can have one built. It's like you go in and check them out and pick one and have it built on your land. We thought about doing that when we were living here before, and we actually went to one of those places. It was interesting. I think I could use a cup of coffee if I can find a 7-Eleven. Here's a better look at the entrance of that home center, Okame. Never mind, Okame is the restaurant next door. But that is the entrance to the home center, the home purchase center. You know, almost 2 weeks ago, I got notice of this giant debt that I owe the Japanese government for my 2025 taxes. And it's kind of settling in. I don't feel as panicky or upset as I did. And I was thinking, it's just like any bad news. After a while, what are those stages that you go through, right? Yeah, I think that I've reached that stage of acceptance. Cheers. I'm on the last leg of this hike now. Caffeine has jolted me up, and I'm passing one after another men who are working hard. It's at the end of a Monday working day. That guy was just carrying a big stack of boxes out, heavy looking metal boxes from that big white building there. He looked exhausted. And I was thinking over and over how that man that was telling me this morning about his wondering about his life, and I've seen it now on so many faces. Maybe it's just a perpetual, perennial thing. Maybe after we become accustomed to whatever life we wind up in, we do that. I always did it. I still do it. Maybe it's what we need to keep feeling our way to the outer edges, to explore, to see if there's something new, like this plant sticking up, you know? Can we make it here? Is the place that we are ridiculous? I just walked past that taxi, and the guy in the taxi just sitting there had that same look. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think I am. I think it's a thing. That's where I'm headed, right there. You see that little glass-like bridge over there? That's Shimizu Station. That's the end of my journey. Almost there. It says that's Shimizu City Church. Here's the entrance to the station right over here. There's the entrance. There's lots to see over here. There's the Shimizu Ginza, the port is over here, all kinds of stuff. My house is way up there. Thanks for joining me today. Dangling feet and all. I'm gonna head upstairs, get on the train, head home to my wife and my dogs, call it a day. Until next time. Be safe, but not too safe.